Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, everyone. In this occasion, we are from Group 1, and today we would like to present our own work in regard with the English language education management assignment in form of handout, which entails bringing innovation with effective English language education project management. And as we can see, in group 1, it consists of 4 members. There are Alvin Haryaputra, Albert Fauzan Mubarak Ervan, and Kurniawan Aji Subianto. For our particular table of contents, it consists of 3 sections. The first section is about task 1, which entails the 10 innovations that have changed English language teaching. The second is about the second task, which entails 10 trends and innovations in English language teaching for 2018. And the last one is about implication for English foreign language teachers and educators. And now we would like to move on to task 1 that will be presented by Albert.
Thank you very much, Achan. Thank you very much, Fauzan. Okay, let us start. The first is the task 1. For the list of for innovation and describe briefly why you are interested in them. Okay, so the four innovation that we choose, the first one is mobile learning and BOD, or bring your own device. We choose this because we believe that cannot be separate from our device in this day and age. And by allowing students to have access to their mobile devices in classroom, it can be used to maximize the learning progress. Now, the second one we choose is online authentic materials. We believe that using a variety of sources to learn can make the learning progress more interesting, which in turn makes students more enthusiastic to learn. And the third one, we choose dogme or materials like teaching. The dogme approach can be used to invite students to think critically rather than just absorbing information from reading materials as a part of critical pedagogy. And the fourth one is we choose teaching soft skills and critical thinking skill. We choose this because English has been to world's lingua franca. It is important for students to be able to know more and go beyond grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation, and be able to communicate effectively in international settings. Now, the second question is that how much do we know about this innovation? Let's start from the mobile learning. Mobile learning or M-learning is defined as the provision of education and training on mobile devices, such as personal digital assistants (PDAs), smartphones, and mobile phones. The various types of mobile learning device are cell phones, ebook readers, tablets, and smartphones. Some mobile learning apps are Evernote, Twitter, Separate apps, and Socrates. BOD is also known as BOT, Bring Your Own Technology, referred as the customization of IT. The benefits can be summarized as follows. The first one is lower cost technology integration. The second is the engagement, making students much more involved and engaged. Then we also teaching 20% to the skills by by enabling students to use their own devices. Then we have anytime, anywhere access. So learning is no longer happen in classroom only. It can take places out of the classroom. Then responsibility. When the device is students' own, it encourages them to take responsibility for their own learning as well as their own devices to continue updating with this activity. Then personalized learning. With the app revolution and wide choice of educational productivity apps that are available for students, learning become more personalized. and learner independence. Student when student are learning anywhere anywhere anytime in more personalized and responsible manner, this will result in increased levels of independence that will create lifelong learning habits and high speed implementation, uh, which means that institution can embark on a BOD program without much delay, since the process of purchasing the device does not need to be done by institution itself. Then we have the online authentic materials. Authentic materials have been defined by Rogers and Medley, 1988, a sample that reflect a naturalness of form and appropriateness of cultural and situational context that would be found in language that used by native speakers. Uh, it is therefore uh, in In addition to having beneficial effect on language learning, the use of authentic material results in more positive attitude towards target culture. For example, in terms of affect, authentic texts are authentic texts are regarded as motivators and a means to overcome the cultural barrier to language learning background environment. Next one, we have dogma. Dogma is an approach to teaching that supports the view that teaching and learning should be based on learners' interests and emergent needs, rather than a syllabus prescribed by course or coursebook. Now, the characteristic of dogma itself, the first we can see the dogma is similar to CLT or communicative language teaching. Like CLT, dogma focus on interaction between learners and teachers and the learners themselves. It also similar as test-based learning or TBL. The learning the learning outcomes in dogma itself is in dogma approach deliver from learners' emergent needs. The major differences between TBL is that is the methodology employed in classroom practices. Then we then another characteristic of dogma is humanistic approach to teaching. Is humanistic approach to teaching supports the importance of learner-centered instruction and emphasize the learning only takes place if learners are involved in the process. Then also another 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 characteristic is that dogma approach is conversation driven. Uh, this comes from the belief that conversation is not product of learning but necessary for learning to happen. A focus on conversation is believed to be better prepare learners to use language in real life. Then dogma approach is material-like. Uh, Although much more have been said about dogma approach being anti-material and anti-technology, Meddings and Thornbury claim that most coursebooks provide learners and teachers with the text that are important for reinforcing grammar syllabus, but neither promote communication nor engage learners. In this sense, Dogme defends critical look at material and assessment of whether material, resource, and coursebook adopted are culturally appropriate for learners and relevant, both in terms of cognitive and affective needs. Then we also have dogma approach focus on emergent language. In this, the teacher's role is to help learners engage with emergent language. That means that teachers should facilitate the analysis, manipulation, and practice language without having established grammatical or lexical item prior to the lessons. Next, we have teaching soft skills and critical thinking skills. Now, soft skills indicate personal competences as communication, diplomacy, planning, enthusiasm, empathy, etc. These skills are often referred as self-oriented or interpersonal and other oriented interpersonal skill. They can be developed by person himself or with other person while working together on communicating. One of the approach to develop the soft skills and personal characteristic is literature reading and critical thinking by Gaju- Gajinsky 1992. Okay, the next part will be presented by Alvin.
Okay, thank you, Albert. So the third question for the task one is, do you think that you need to know more about each of them? Elaborate your answer. Yeah, sure. Nowadays, education desperately needs effective innovations that can help produce high quality learning outcomes across the system and for all students, radically improving the efficiency and the quality of teaching and learning theory and practice, as well as the roles of the learner, teacher, parents, community, society, and society's culture should be the primary focus. Other promising approaches should seek to improve students' work ethic and attitudes toward learning, their development of various learning skills, as well as making learning more productive. While taking advantage of effective educational technologies, we must situate those modern tools within a wider context of human education in order to preserve its humanistic developmental purpose and thus make more effective use of them. Computers for schools are ready, but are we ready? Our, our understanding of how students learn and how teachers teach and craft their methodology in technology-based environments remains lacking. Questions to ask are whether current methods help increase learning productivity and, as a result, time and cost efficiency. All technology applications require a solid theoretical foundation based on purposeful, systematic research and sound pedagogy to increase efficiency and decrease possible side issues. When integrating novel technologies in teaching and learning, we must first consider their potential applicability, anticipated costs and benefits, and then develop successful educational practices. Therefore, the key to a prosperous, inventive society is a multidimensional approach to revitalizing and the educational system, structures, tools, and stakeholders, so that it breeds learners' autonomy, self-efficacy, critical thinking, creativity, and advances a common culture that supports innovative education. In order to succeed, innovative education must become a collective matter for all society, for which we must generate universal public responsibility. Otherwise, all our efforts to build an effective educational system will fail. Okay, next for the task two. Okay, so this article will publish in 2018 by the same order. So the first question is, which innovation discussed in the first article do you think has affected each of the 2018 trends or innovation? So we choose four. That is that they are mobile learning, English as a lingua franca or ELF, multiliteracies and translanguaging, and the last one is supporting learners of specific needs. Okay, the next questions will be presented by Fauzan.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. Now I'm taking over to the second questions of task two. The question is, according to your knowledge, have these trends innovation been replaced with new ones? If yes, what are the new ones you know? Well, based on the previous trends that have been picked or have been mentioned, it seems that most of these trends or innovation have not been replaced yet. And as a matter of fact, they still have been developed until these recent days. So it means it basically that those previous trends that have been mentioned are still relevant into these days. And for trends that, namely mobile learning, English as lingua franca, multiliteracies, and translanguaging and supporting learners of specific needs, are still relevant to utilize in current 21st century teaching. And now we're moving on to the last questions of task 2, which is actually an activity of browsing the Kemendikbudristek and Directorate GTK social media pages for information and current trends in Indonesian school context, with focus on EFL teaching and learning. And based on our observations, it seems that the emphasis or the emphasis of the current trends in Kemendikbudristek and Directorate GTK is primarily focused on the Indonesian language, more of like the teaching of Indonesian language. And this could be an example, like in Kemendikbudristek, has also facilitated of BIPA. It is actually it stands for Bahasa Indonesia bagi Penutur Asing dalam Jaringan. It is actually a learning platform that specifically targeted about teaching Indonesian, intended for foreign speakers or foreign people outside of Indonesia. So basically, they are trying to reach out into a more larger community in learning Indonesian language. And the last task, it is task 3, will be presented by Aji.
Okay, thank you very much, Fauzan. Okay, so now we move on to task 3. And for the first question is about, do you think it is important for ELT educators to be informed about current trends and innovations in the ELT field, the changes for ELT educators to consider? Why? Okay, for the first question, the answer is, next, Fauzan. Yes, the answer is yes. Yeah, as you can see, for educators, being informed with every innovation in the ELT field is essential. This can help educators produce high quality of learning outcomes across the system and for all students, and the development of learning theory and practice. Especially in this era, which the use of technology in language teaching and learning is emphasized, educators need to know how to maximize the use of technology for language teaching and learning in order to improve students' knowledge and understanding in the target language. And then we move to the second question. Next, Fauzan. Okay. With reference to your response, it's based on the task 1 and task 2. What do you think the implication of those innovations? What do you think you need to do? Okay, so the implication for all innovations above in task 1 and task 2 is that educators should make a lesson plan which represents each of the innovations. Educators should consider materials that implies mobile learning, English as a lingua franca, multiliteracy and translanguaging, and supporting learners of specific needs. Like, for example, for educators need to consider which online resources that accessible and friendly with a mobile phone, with students' mobile phone, and with the educator's mobile phone, his or herself, him or himself, sorry. And then in English as lingua franca, educators need to consider how the concept of English as an international language might fit into course materials and language teaching. And, and then for supporting learners of specific needs, educators need to understand students' needs in order to make the lessons suit to them, suit to the students. And lastly, a proper learning management system is beneficial so that students can access materials easier and can always be updated with every information shared by teachers. It doesn't mean that a teacher should be able to program a learning management system or make a learning management system. The point is that how teachers are able to choose which learning management system that is easier for him or herself and also for his or her students and is more suitable with students' condition. Okay, next.
Yes, that's pretty much sums up everything of our own answers regarding uh, all uh, all of these three tasks, and I think that's all from us. Thank you very much, and thank you for the attention.